Hello, BookTube. I've got a little pile of mail here to finish out the week, starting with a periodical, the London Review of Books. This is the London Review is rather known for longer pieces, and that's not the kind of book writing that I do, but I really enjoy it. The Sheila Fitzpatrick, for instance, does a long review in this issue on that book about Soviet dissidents that I really like. And there are a couple of others. Adam Schatz has a long piece in here. The only frustration with this particular issue is Adam Mars Jones, who is one of the best book critics working today. Him and Christian Lorentzen are now, even though they are two brilliant critics, they are now sources of almost universal frustration for me because they have decided, I am sure for egotistical reasons, that the whole of the world, the whole of the reading world, the whole of the Republic of Letters is kind of played out. So the manifestation of my duty to my readers will be for me to write about trifles at length. And it's a joy to read the prose of either one of them, but that doesn't make their subjects anything less than trifles. It's ridiculous that I now expect when I read a Christian Lorentzen piece or an Adam Mars Jones piece, I now expect that the book or even the art installation under review will be trivial to the point of non-existence, and that I will be reading it only for their prose. I won't be reading it at all because there's any chance that I will ever even see the thing they're writing about, much less care to read it. That's a little bit annoying. That's them thinking they're bigger than the game, which is always annoying, but there's plenty of other things in this issue to read. And then we've got the mail, a few packages here, the first two of which are small and lightweight, leads me to think they might be slim volumes of poetry. Let's take a look and see. Assuming that everything here is going to be a 2025 release. I doubt that I'll be getting any. Yeah, this is April 2025. Oh no, this is a collection of short stories. This is Lydia Millet. This is her stories Atavis. And this comes out in late April and is just one more brick in the wall of the theory that I have been forced to formulate that 2025 is going to represent a return to the era of hideous American book covers. We had a break. I was, for a few years, if you've been watching this channel a long, long time, for a few years, all I did was complain. In every book that I opened, I complained about how ostentatiously crappy the cover was. And then there was a while, at least a year, where that was not true, where I was surprised as anybody and mentioned it. But it looks like we're going back in that direction. What is this? This is a new collection of short fiction. Follows a group of families, couples, and loners in their collisions, confessions, and conflicts in a post-pandemic America of artificially lush lawns, beauty salons, tech bro mansions, assisted living facilities, big box stores, gastro pubs, college campuses, and medieval role-playing festivals. Okay. All right. So instantly outdated. Okay. Well, I suppose you could go at this for the prose. The various who people these linked stories, from futurists to insurrectionists to cosmetologists, include a professor who's morbidly fixated on an old friend's Instagram account, a woman convinced that her bright young son-in-law is watching geriatric porn, a bodybuilder who lives an incel's fantasy life, a couple who surveil the neighbors after finding obscene notes in their mailbox, a pretentious academic accused of plagiarism, and a suburban ex-marathoner dad obsessed with hosting refugees in a tiny house in his backyard. Okay. Great. So that comes out in April. Collection of short stories with an ugly cover. All right, let's do this next one here. This is really tiny. This has got to be a slim volume of poetry. I mean, what else could it be? Once upon a time, my choices would have been twofold: slim volume of poetry or a book catalog, but I get all my catalogs electronically now. So, oh no, okay. No, I'm clearly going to need to change that. I've said forever on this channel that if it's a tiny package, it will be either a slim volume of poetry or it will be a publisher's catalog. But that formulation needs to change. That formulation was made before TikTok. So now I think it's pretty obvious that by 2030, if there are any novels in the market at all, they will not be longer than 200 pages. And that's what this is. This is actually a short story by Olivia Waite. This is called Murder by Memory. A mind is a terrible thing to erase. 90 pages. I'm sure this is going to be called a novel, but it's a short story. If you can read it in one sitting, easily, if you can. I'm not talking about a faster reading speed. If you can read it in one sitting, then it's a short story. So Becky Chambers will be known to all of you. What do we have here, though? Welcome to the Fairweather, Her Majesty's most luxurious interstellar passenger liner. Room and board are included. New bodies are graciously provided upon request, and should you desire a rest between lifetimes, your mind shall be most carefully preserved in glass in the library, shielded from every danger. Near the topmost deck of an interstellar generation ship, Dorothy Gentleman wakes up in a body that isn't hers, just as someone else is found murdered. As one of the ship's detectives, Dorothy usually delights in unraveling the schemes on board the Fairweather, but when she finds that someone is not only killing bodies but purposely deleting minds from the library, she realizes something more sinister than garden variety murder is afoot. Told from Dorothy's delightfully shrewd point of view, this novella is an ode to cozy mysteries taken to the stars with a fresh new science fiction take. Okay, well, it's not going to be long to determine that. When does this come out? I don't have a sheet or anything for this. March. This comes out in March. And I'm sure it's going to have a novel price tag. $22. Okay, for 90 pages. All right, so, all right, let's move on. Let's move on to this next one. The other packages are more substantial in terms of weight, and one of them is a box, so we'll save that for last. What is this first one? Oh, great. Okay, this is also March. A little bit bittersweet. This is Ted Bell, the now late Ted Bell, has his charismatic, over-the-top action hero. His books are continuing. This is more necrofiction. This is Monarch, an Alex Hawke novel by Ryan Steck. Handsome thing here, but then the genre books will never go the route. They will never regress to ugly covers like so-called literary fiction, except for fantasy, which in 2025 I believe is 99% romantasy, and all the covers are interchangeable. They all look exactly the same. So aside from that, the genre novels tend to do well with covers. They tend to remember that means something. So what have we got here? Again, we don't have a sheet for that, but this is going to be the first adventure of Alex Hawke that isn't written by Ted Bell. Lord Alexander Hawke is looking forward to some quiet time at Tea Kettle Cottage, his home in Bermuda, along with his wife and son, but he's not a man who can avoid trouble. The chief of MI6, David Truelove, calls him with stunning news. King Charles has disappeared while vacationing at Balmoral Castle. The Prime Minister believes he can keep the news quiet for no more than 72 hours. After that, Britain will be plunged into chaos. Or massive street celebrations. It's up to Hawke and his team of misfit spies to find and rescue the missing monarch. Okay, that is the plot of this book, that Alexander Hawke is on a clandestine mission to recover the kidnapped King of England. That is tone deaf in about half a dozen different ways. But I don't think I know Ryan Steck's work. I don't think I know anything that this author has written. So, are you going to tell me what this author has written? Okay. No, you're not. It just lists all of the Hawke novels. The Hawke novels are really, really good. They are really good thrillers, really good page-turning thrillers. Uh, and this is, I don't know if I've read this author before, I'll have to check, but that's going to be the first one. So that's the new year. Then we have 2 packages left. Let's save the box for last. The other one gives me a little bit of pause because it's big, it's oversized. So it could be a picture book of some kind, and it also could be a finished copy. If it's a finished copy, it could be a 2024 release. Let's take a look at what we have here. Try not to destroy it as we get out of the package. Oh no, this is November 19th. This comes out on Tuesday. Oh, great. Fantastic. Okay. All right. Well, this is a perfect Steve book. So how wonderful to have it. I will certainly write about it. This is photographs by Alan McSweeney, written by Michael Maslin. This is called At Wit's End, Cartoonists of the New Yorker. Bewilderingly, there is not a New Yorker cartoon on the cover of this book. Bewildering. That is a bewildering choice. So this comes out in just a few days. For a century, the New Yorker has provided readers with over 100,000 cartoons that humorously and accurately encapsulate the cultural happenings in our world. From politics to pop culture, New Yorker cartoonists have found a way to make complex topics digestible through lines, shades, and clever, witty captions. Yes, but for many, 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 many of the opening magazine's decades, the cartoonist did not write the captions. Hope that's made clear in the book. This is a celebratory collection that captures the brilliant, quirky personalities behind some of the New Yorker's most iconic cartoons. Filled with striking portraits by world-renowned photographer Alan McSweeney, captivating profiles by longtime New Yorker contributor Michael Maslin, and a sampling of each artist's work, these pages offer an exclusive peek inside the creative brains of over 50 prominent cartoonists, both seasoned and newly minted. Okay, great. So this is the sort of thing that you're going to get. The New Yorker's only done this kind of thing twice, and never on this scale. So you get a portrait of the artist. Let's see what we have here. Let's try and find. Okay, all right. There we go. All right, I'm going to try and find someone who wasn't born 2 years ago. Here's George Price. So there you have a portrait, a photo, another photo, and a lot of text, and also some samples of the artwork. Okay, lots of new faces, because maybe that was the point. Okay, all right. Well, it'll be an interesting thing anyway to do. This will be fascinating. I am a huge fan of New Yorker cartoons. I have a whole bunch of collections of them. I was telling the publicist for this book that I really doubt that a copy will go out to any editor or reviewer who has a more passionate connection with New Yorker cartoons. And she thought that was great. She thought that was great news, and I meant it as great news. But I remembered a publicist that I used to know decades and decades ago, whose reaction when I would say that, the publicists are the people that make the book world go around. They're the nicest people in the book world. And when that particular publicist years and years ago would send me a review copy of whatever it was, and I would write back and say, well, this is incredible. Thank you very much. I doubt seriously that this is going to go to any other editor or critic that knows this subject better. He would always write back, and he would not say that was wonderful. He would say, okay, that's a little alarming, because that means you're going to find mistakes that other critics aren't going to find. I'm not saying that that'll be true here, but the New Yorker's only done a couple of these retrospectives of artists, so I'm up for it, totally up for it. What a wonderful thing to get towards the end of the year. And then we'll do the box, which is not only a box, but a fairly hefty one. I know what I want this to be. Uh, but we'll see. I know exactly what I want this to be. It's right around the time when I would be getting what I'm hoping this is. But oh no, it's not. Okay, great. Oh wow, this is bigger than I thought. Okay, fantastic. This is by Susan Doran, and this is called From Tudor to Stuart: The Regime Change from Elizabeth I to James I. Big, thick thing. How wonderful. From Oxford University Press. No sheet for it, but I think this is out already. So I need to get to it. This and the New Yorker book need to go on the pile for tonight. So let's read from the dust jacket here. The Virgin Queen was a hard act to. Excuse me. The Virgin Queen was a hard act to follow for Scottish newcomer who faced a host of problems in his first year as king. Not only the ghost of his predecessor and her legacy, but also unrest in Ireland, serious questions about his legitimacy on the English throne, and even plots to remove him. Contrary to traditional assumptions, James' accession was by no means a smooth one. The really important question about James' reign, of course, is the extent of change that occurred in national political life and royal politics. The author also examines how far the establishment of a new Stuart dynasty resulted in fresh personnel at the center of power, and the alterations in monarchical institutions and shifts in political culture and governmental policies that occurred. Here, the book offers a fresh look at James and his wife Anna, suggesting in new interpretations of their character and qualities. Okay, great, fantastic. So I don't have any kind of a sheet on this, but I've seen at least 2 reviews of it. Of course, now that I think about it, the reviews that I saw were in the UK press, so maybe it isn't out in America yet. I'm thinking not. Oxford usually gets things to me late if they get them to me at all. I bet this came out last month. I'm gonna put it on the pile for tonight anyway. This and the New Yorker book. So there you have the Mail at wit's end, photo gallery really, of great New Yorker cartoonists. From Tudor to Stuart, a change in dynasties that was not at all. It was guesswork. Who Elizabeth wanted to succeed her was guesswork. She did not say anything. It was merest spasming of her hands, merest pantomime of a mute and dying queen. Literally in the throes of death. She was no more than 30 minutes from dying when the men around her bed convinced themselves that she was signaling that James was her heir. Then Ted Bell's Monarch by Ryan Steck. So right there on the cover, right there in the title, it's not Ted Bell's anything. Ted Bell is gone. So right there in the title, you have all the usual questions about necrofiction, which fascinating to me. I'm not barring the gate to it at all. It's just odd. That's all. I mean, the Alex Hawke novels were not linguistically anything really to. I mean, this will just be make sure that you get all the details right, all the little sigils about what he likes to drive and what he likes to eat and how much money he has. Make sure that you get all those details right, but it's not like, for instance, someone doing a George Smiley novel, where it's not just the details that you have to get right, it's also the writing style. There's no writing style here, so I'll be curious to know what it's like, where it falls on the spectrum from Mark Greaney writing Tom Clancy novels to Nick Harkaway writing a George Smiley novel. Then we have Atavis, a collection of stories by Lydia Millet. Murder by Memory, a short story by Olivia Waite. So not a bad mail haul. And then we have the London Review of Books. So a nice pile to get us into the weekend. So I'll wrap this up for now, and I'll be back. Thank you, BookTube.